Yes, dear. My Clorox wipes are in the hall closet upstairs or under the bathroom sink. What did you do that you guys need wipes?
Take two.
The world's largest shipping company just launched a brand new cruise ship in Florida. It is the MSC World America, and we were there front row to take you from port to starboard, every inch of this ship. Join us as we take you on this tour of the MSC World America.
We are so excited to talk all about our MSC World America sailing, which was, by the time you listen to this, about 2 weeks ago. But before we get into that, Anna, I want you to talk to us a little bit about your flight to Miami from Philly because, um, first off, this was a crazy experience, but also it highlights the reason why we recommend that people arrive the day before or longer
Yeah.
before their cruise. So, why don't you tell us how many hours it took for you to get on your nonstop or was booked as nonstop flight? And
Yeah, it was let's just call it a nightmare travel day. And I will fully start by saying that there are airports that we travel to that just make me super nervous, and Miami is one of them.
yeah,
And I can get myself through the airport, but getting an Uber or a Lyft outside, it just so anxiety inducing for me. So if I'm traveling with somebody like Jody, I tend to rely on them for emotional support. So I always book a flight that comes in before them so that when I get there, I have a minute to gather my thoughts and collect myself. And I know that at some point, someone will help me get an Uber. Maybe it's a boomer thing, maybe it's a me thing, but it makes me very nervous. So I booked a flight that left Philadelphia at 7:15 in the morning, and we were going to be in Miami by 11:15, which for you would have been plenty of time because you weren't coming in until 2 or 2:30. So I was fully prepared to get there, grab a coffee, have a little snack, and be perfectly content and ready to go by the time you got there. And then there was a ground stoppage in Miami. So my flight from Philadelphia left on time at 7:15. We got down to Miami on time, but then we couldn't land the plane. So for about an hour, we just circled. We circled Florida, we circled Miami. We just kept circling and circling. And then finally, because the flight was going to run out of fuel, they diverted us to Orlando. So we left Miami, we make the trek back up to Orlando. And initially they said, everybody just stay on the plane. It's probably just going to be a few minutes. We'll refuel and then we'll head back down to Miami. Instead, it turned into, okay, well, we're going to refuel, but there's still a ground stoppage. So everybody get off the plane, gather all of your stuff. Everybody gathered all of their stuff. We get off the plane. We are not off the plane long, maybe 20, 30 minutes. And they were like, okay, now everybody get back on the plane, carry all your stuff, get back on the plane. It was less than 10 minutes by the time everybody boarded the plane. And they were like, you know what? Still a ground stoppage. They're not letting us land planes there. Everybody get off the plane again. So I'm messaging you the whole time, and you're still in the air and you're still on your
right.
way. But we ended up not boarding the plane from Orlando again until after 5 o'clock. And they kept saying, once we're on the plane, it's 20 minutes. It'll be a quick flight down there. And thank goodness you waited for me. But something that never would have occurred to me is people who had their boarding passes on their phone were now getting on the plane to finally make it to Miami, and their boarding passes had disappeared.
Right. They
So
expired
they were
or they
pulling,
ended because you landed.
you landed, so they expired. So they are pulling these people out of the line, and they've got somebody who's trying to get them new boarding passes so they can board the plane. So it took way longer to board the plane. But heaven forbid we had a cruise leaving that day.
Right.
It
Right.
was 12 hours of travel for a 3 hour nonstop flight. So you would have missed your ship. You would have missed if you had, a wedding or an event or something that you were going to, even not on a cruise, just at a
Right.
hotel.
Right.
If you hadn't left the day before, it was just a nightmare. It was just a nightmare.
Yeah, and I mean, just to be clear, like, first of all, this was related, the ground stop was related to a thunderstorm. It was a very short ground stop and very short thunderstorm because people we were talking to in Miami didn't even like really remember it raining.
No.
And so, both of us from the Northeast, we know like snow can affect things, but this wasn't that. This
Mm-mm.
was just a very like bad timing because even though the airport wasn't really shut that long, it was kind of a domino effect of they were letting planes in the air land. So my plane, which should have landed, I think it was at 2:30 or 3, they slowed us down and then they diverted us across the west coast of Florida up through Key West. So our flight was 4 hours. Now we didn't have to land, we didn't have to circle, but because all these other planes were landing, you guys just were kind of stuck.
Yeah. And it makes perfect sense that they landed the planes that were in the air first
Right.
because everybody else had some place. We
Right.
were safe, everything was secure. It just bumped everybody else back because
Right.
your planes that were already delayed because of the ground stoppage are now backed up. So the flights coming in on time are also trying to land at the same time. So it's a very quick trip to a domino effect. When something goes wrong at an airport or you have a ground stoppage like that, it does impact a lot of flights. So even if you're taking off in bright sunny weather and you expect to land in bright sunny weather, it may
Right.
be totally unrelated to you or your plane or your destination or your.
Yeah. The lesson here really is to book in advance, even if you're thinking, this isn't winter weather season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, and so now we want to talk all about the MSC World America.
Yes, we
And
do.
we're really excited to share all the information about this ship. But before we do that, we just want to explain a little bit about what MSC is, because I know a lot of people that I told I was going on this ship were sort of unfamiliar with this cruise line. So this is a European cruise line. It started as a shipping company, which is the SC part of their name. And this ship, the MSC World America, was the first ship that they have built with the American traveler in mind. It's also, I believe it's a sister ship to the World Europa, right? So similar shape. And yeah, so I think people who are just getting familiar with MSC probably familiar with some of their new commercials. They had a Super Bowl commercial. It featured Drew Barrymore and Orlando Bloom, and they've been showing that a lot. I've seen them advertise at other sporting events. So they're definitely making a big push into this American market.
Yeah. And, it's a cruise line that over in Europe has been very popular.
Right.
It's definitely well received over in Europe. And the things that I've heard about MSC here really have to do with the fact that it's a different way of cruising over there. They did things differently than we do here. But and it's only been, I want to say 5 or 6 years that they've been in the American market. But as they grow in this market and they're learning things, they're considering feedback from the American public and the people that are cruising on them, they really are making adaptations to be more of an American cruise, something that we here would be familiar with cruising.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of that commitment is their brand new cruise terminal at Port Miami,
My
which
goodness.
we saw. I believe it is the world's largest cruise terminal.
The
It can
world's
hold
largest.
3 ships. Yeah, and it was impressive.
It was seriously impressive. And we were super lucky that we got to sit next to a gentleman who was integral in helping open this terminal. And he was giving us little information.
Yeah.
But yeah, the terminal was built. Did they say 36,000 people that it would be able to hold?
I
It
don't
was
remember
so
the exact number, but
crazy.
it was a really huge number.
Yeah, crazy number. And so sleek and so technologically advanced. Like
Right.
we hardly had to show anybody anything. It was just so automatic. And I know we were the only ship in port that day, but despite the size of it, we literally breezed through. Everything was super easy. Everybody was really friendly. But I think just looking around that terminal, even if you're there on a day where you have to wait, there are so many chairs and so many
Right.
comfortable places to just wait until it's your boarding time. It was a beautiful terminal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely was. And it can hold 3 ships at a time, which is
Yeah, which is a lot of people.
right. All right, let's talk about the celebration.
I loved it. I so loved it.
So they were celebrating the naming on the first day, and we were really lucky to be invited to that. It had some fantastic entertainment. We had the executives really showed their passion for their jobs. We met them, or we saw the mayor of Miami. They talked a lot about their philanthropic efforts with conservation. And then, of course, we got to see Drew Barrymore and Orlando Bloom, which was really fun.
Yeah.
What else did you like?
So I have never been to a ship christening or a naming ceremony, and I got literal goosebumps when they paraded in the ship's officers down onto the stage right before the naming ceremony. And everybody is there all in their dress uniforms and their caps. And it was very moving and very exciting. And I think it really showed during the speeches and stuff. They have such an emphasis on family because this is a family owned business. As
Right.
enormous as it is, it's a family owned business. But with the executives sort of like playing with each other and making jokes back and forth with each other. And these are executives from all over the world. Like it's not they're
Right.
sitting at a desk next to each other in a
Right. Right.
cubicle. They just really seem to have a familial connection. So it was kind of nice. It was almost like being invited to someone's home for a private party. And then even the dinner afterwards, when the one executive was going literally table to table to
Right.
thank everybody for coming. And I'm like, does this woman know how many hundreds and hundreds of people are here? But they're taking the time to make like this personal connection.
Right.
But I just thought the ceremony was beautiful. I thought it was so moving, and it really did feel like you were invited to like if you were invited to a christening of a baby, like it's all family, it's everybody you know, and it was just really nice. But this is not your first one, so what did you think?
Yeah, it was, I mean, some of the ceremonial stuff is similar. I really, I thought it was really cool that they brought out the celebrities that have been promoting it, and they seemed really excited to be involved with the brand, which is nice. I mean, I should say that this was for us, it was a media sailing, it was a complimentary cruise for us, but they also had some like travel agents on there. So I don't think there were any like traditional paying guests on this one. I don't
Mhm.
think that this was a revenue sailing. So obviously, some of the stuff that we talk about with the celebration especially is like a one-time thing. But they really extended the ceremony beyond just that too, which is a little bit different from what I've seen. So they had a really fun drone show, which, getting to my prior point, like that's not something you would see normally. We were in port until 3 a.m. So
We
they
got a
had
3 a.m. wake up call. That's how
we
we know that.
did. They had this drone show, which was super fun. And then we had a special concert by Gloria Estefan, which was unexpected and really, really great to watch, a Miami icon. So,
Yeah. Especially when you look at Gloria Estefan and she has not changed since the
no,
80s. So much
no.
energy. She's still flawlessly beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So the rest of our sailing beyond that first day, was a little bit, well, I shouldn't even say it was really all that traditional because we did stay at Ocean Key overnight, which was another treat that was kind of special for this. But that first day, we did get the opportunity just through our own time to kind of start to explore the ship. So let's talk about the amenities and activities on board. What did you like the best?
I love the spaces on the ship. So, for those of you that are familiar with the Royal Caribbean's Oasis class ships, you will feel very at home on this ship. It's definitely distinct neighborhoods or distinct environments.
Right.
And they just really, I think, put a lot of attention to detail in things. The whole harbor area where there's stuff for kids, stuff for grown-ups. There's thrill rides that throw you out over the ocean, not literally throw you, but it felt like they were throwing me. Um, and the Lego area that you could play with your kids, outside of the kids club. This is something that, you could just take your wet
Right.
bathing suit clad kid into the Lego room and play Legos for a while. I think they really did a great job of coming up with spaces that could be used by everybody in the family at the same time.
Yeah, so the Lego, partnership that they have going on involves a family play space for Legos, which would be parents and kids would be able to go into. Then there's distinct, which I was surprised to see, distinct Lego areas in the different kids clubs, which was looked really fun. So for the little ones, they've got the duplex blocks or Duplo, whatever they're called, and then the littler, the smaller blocks for the older kids. They also have a brand new Lego figure parade
Yeah,
on the ship. The harbor is the top part has the swing that Anna was talking about, which I think she is trying to forget about, but
I
I
definitely am.
did get her on it and This is a two-person swing, and they've got two of them that swings out over the edge of the ship, and it's not mild. It's not
It is
like a
not
mild
mild.
swinging. It's like a very yeah, I thought it was really fun. It is it's a lot, but it was really fun.
I was writing my will in the thing, on my, like on my hand, like, okay, because I'm not going to make it off of this thing. It was much faster than I expected it to be because when you look at it, and I think that kind of gave me the courage because I am not a heights kind of girl.
Right.
It's not my thing, but I mean, it's a swing. Like, how bad could it be? And then the thing that struck me funniest and still strikes me funniest is you and I both got on the swing and we immediately put our feet up on the footrest and the guy comes over and he's like, "You need to take your feet off of that because that is your safety bar." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." And he lifts the safety bar up and I'm thinking, "Okay, well, this just comes to my thighs. I'm going over the top of this. There is no way."
No, because it sinks back. So
Oh my goodness. But in your head, it's still a swing. It's just a swing. And swings are safe. You've been doing it since you were a toddler on the playground. And then flings you out over the ocean. It's not it's not mild. There's nothing gentle about it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They make you sign a waiver. That should be your first clue that this is not safe. But it's safe.
it's
It's
safe.
safe.
It's safe. There's also a ropes course.
Yeah.
And the important thing I think with the ropes course is that you do need closed-toed shoes. So the swing you didn't, if it was kind of like soaring at Disney World and Disneyland. If you had shoes that were going to come off, you had to take them off. But you could wear sandals. With the ropes course, you absolutely have to have closed-toed shoes. So I know we don't always throw those in our bag, especially in the summer, but you might want to
Yeah.
pack those.
That looked a lot of fun too, though.
It
I
did.
mean, people were
It
really
did.
enjoying the ropes courses.
There is also the Sportsplex, which is a multi-use area that it's set up for various sports and it also has bumper cars, which you just have to follow the schedule to see what activity is happening at what time. And then there's Formula One racing, there's multiple arcades,
Hmm.
there's bowling.
They have it all.
They have it all. All the stuff you can do when you are on the ship. And then the pools.
Yes. So many
Multiple
pools.
pools. There's the Zen pool, which is adult only. There's the main pool.
The botanical garden pool.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, it was so
That
pretty
area
in
is
that
nice and
area.
quiet and pretty, a lot of greenery. There's water slides. And then I think my favorite area, and I was really impressed with the spa. So we did a
That
tour
was
of the spa.
beautiful.
We did not have time to actually do like a treatment, but it was really nice and had a lot of like unique treatments that I haven't seen, like a water bed that can be cold, or there's one that's hot, waterfalls, the like progressive hot, cold wading pools, snow room, which I really like those, especially in the
Yes.
hot weather.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
salt room, the
right.
saunas,
Salt room.
really, they had everything
Yeah,
in the spa area.
yeah, yeah. I would definitely if I were on a longer sailing, like a 7-day, I would definitely wanna do that.
Yeah.
Alright, let's change gear and talk about the entertainment. So what was your favorite of the entertainment that we saw?
Oh my gosh, there was not bad entertainment on this
No.
ship, and,
Nope.
I grew up in the '80s, I graduated high school in the '80s, so a lot of the music on there was very appealing to me, but, I mean, Queen, you can't the voices were amazing, just amazing.
Yeah. So there's the Queen Symphonic Show, which is in the Panoramic Lounge.
Mhm.
That features live musicians, live singers, aerialists, but also an orchestra on video, which was it was just a phenomenal show. But that's not to say that the World Theater shows weren't also really good. We saw the two of them that they offered. One of them was called Hall of Fame, and it was just a lot of really popular music. Madonna, Beyonce, Whitney Houston, Justin Timberlake, Dua Lipa, like really fun stuff.
That really spanned like, it didn't matter
Yeah,
how old
yeah.
you were, you could find something in that show that you enjoyed.
So fun. And then they also had Dirty Dancing in concert. And so that's just the music rather than like the storyline of Dirty Dancing. But, I forgot some of those songs were even on that Dirty Dancing soundtrack.
I
Like,
know, but it was so
there
good.
yeah, I mean, I obviously knew all the music, but, like, I just kind of forgot that those songs were even part of it. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
loved that show.
I'm also gonna say that I never miss a cruise ship show. I really, really love it.
Yeah,
But if you're traveling with little kids and you go on a ship that's doing almost the full Broadway
right,
version of a show, it's a little harder for kids to sit
right,
through
right.
everything. And this really was like 45 minutes. You got the gist of the story because you know the story. You've seen the movie,
Yeah,
1,000 times, but you got the vibe of the music, the feeling of, with the costumes, what the scenario was in the movie. But you could take little kids to this because you're just bopping to the music the whole time. They don't have to sit through the actual story part. So it was really good. And it made it so, like on a cruise ship, you could go to the casino later, or you
right,
could go to dinner after and,
right,
not feel like
right.
you missed anything.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's other entertainment which we didn't see, but is great when you're on a longer sailing. So there's a comedy club, they have
Hmm.
dueling pianos, and then there would be other entertainment that would rotate that you would be able to find in your schedule.
Yeah. There was a lot of good entertainment. And for some, I mean, for some of these entertainers, they haven't been working together all that long. So
Right,
for them
right.
to be so good in such a short period of time was great. It's
Well,
only
the
going to
Hall
get
of Fame
better
show,
from
they
here.
said it was like the first time they'd done it in front of
Yeah. And
yeah,
it
in
was
front of
so
an
good.
audience. Yeah, so good. So you mentioned dining. Obviously, dining is a huge, huge part of any cruise experience. So I will say during this special sailing, we didn't have the opportunity to dine at the specialty restaurants. So we can only speak to them because they had samples the first day where we could try little samples from some of the restaurants. I mean, everything we had was really good.
I thought so too. And it was nice that they gave us that opportunity to give a little taste of
Yeah.
all the different things. Did you have a favorite?
I mean, I think the steakhouse, but, sushi's always good too, so
Yeah, sushi's good. I think Butcher's Cut is probably one of my favorite of the other MSC ships
Mhm.
because the meal is just so good. But I don't think there was a thing that I didn't like. Everything was good.
Yeah, and this ship has a gelato, like, booth, restaurant, so good. Now that I
It
think
is
is
so good.
that would be a paid thing on the ship.
Yeah, gelato will be extra. There's soft serve ice cream up in the buffet. The gelato is extra. And when the ship is up and running, the gelato stand also does crepes. So you can get crepes and ice cream or fruit or whatever. But it's just really, really good. And I have never seen a contraption like they had
Yeah, yeah.
for this ice cream.
Yeah, it was like, first off, and I had mentioned this to Anna at the time because I have a child with food allergies, and each container had their own separate wand to scoop it out, which was really good to see. So there's no cross contamination, and the contraption actually held, like, it snapped in. So, it wasn't just floating around. But then they also spun. So that kind of, keeps it fresh, really good. The main dining room, did we count four main dining rooms?
I think so.
There were quite a few. So you'll be assigned, like any cruise ship, you'll be assigned a time and a table and a specific location. They have the same menus throughout. I mean, each of the main dining rooms. So it's really just like a location.
I want to point out from my other MSC cruise experiences and talking about the growth that they're making based on a more American vibe. The main dining rooms on the other ships that I've been on, you're in very close quarters. You really literally are rubbing elbows with the tables next to you. And I felt like in this main dining room, there was more space between the tables. So, not to offend anybody, I'm a big girl, and Americans tend to be bigger people than some of the other countries that are serviced by MSC. So I think it was more comfortable. And we also I don't know how to say it. We don't tend to invade each other's space here, which is perfectly acceptable in other cultures. We tend to space out a little bit. So I think the main dining room is one of the biggest improvements that I noticed from other ships. Like, this is a more American dining room. I can walk between the tables. I don't feel like I'm bumping into people. I have elbow room. It just felt more comfortable.
Yeah, and so we dined in the main dining room only once
Hmm.
because of scheduling and wanting to see shows and everything. So when we weren't in the main dining room, now Of course, if you're on a 7-day sailing, you'll probably want to do specialty restaurants, but we did the buffets. So there are 2 buffets on the ship. They're just stacked one on top of the other. Yeah, we loved the buffet.
Yeah, I thought the food was really good. I also like the fact that the times were sort of staggered. So
Yeah,
if you were a little late for lunch at one, you would catch it at the other. Or if you were
right,
hungry a little
right.
earlier, you could go to one than the other. But they did have a huge variety of food.
Yeah, yeah, and there's always pizza. There were hamburgers and hot dogs. While I'm talking food, I also just want to mention the food at Ocean K, whatever. I thought that food was really good.
Yeah. And it was different. It wasn't just your, burgers and hot dogs on the beach. They did
Yeah,
have other things like the ribs and the jerk pork or chicken. I don't eat spicy, so I don't remember what it was, but
yeah, there was fish too.
and a
Yeah.
ton of salads and fresh fruit.
Yeah, yeah, the buffet on the island was really good.
Yeah. I also like that they have that separate little grab and go area. So if you don't want to wait in line and you know you're just going to grab a burger or a hot dog,
Right.
you don't have to go through the whole buffet line. You just go to the grab and go line and they've got the hot dogs, hamburgers already assembled. You just grab it and walk away.
Um, so the ship also has shops, numerous shops, watches, jewelry, handbags, MSC branded merchandise, some Lego sets. I know people were asking about that. And a casino.
Hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about Yacht Club because I think that's something that's very unique to MSC. The Yacht Club is their ship within a ship concept. So you get a Yacht Club stateroom and then you are in the Yacht Club. Separate key card entrance to the Yacht Club area. Butler, I know you've done it before. So how does differ?
Yeah. So the difference starts as soon as you get to the terminal because you will go to a separate line. They will take all of your bags and you will be escorted either to the yacht club waiting area or directly onto the ship by one of the butlers from the yacht club. Once you've keyed into the yacht club, you technically don't ever have to leave. The yacht club has its own restaurant, the Top Sail Lounge, which is a whole lounge area. They serve snacks throughout the day. They have their own swimming pool with a sun deck, a pool bar, a pool grill. So you'll find food out there during the day. Included with the yacht club is a premium drinks package. Your Wi-Fi is included. So literally, except to go see the shows, you can stay right there. You don't ever have to leave. And you can get services. Now, I didn't utilize a lot of these services, but you have access to a daily newspaper delivered to your stateroom. You have access to a butler to unpack your luggage when it arrives and pack it again before you go.
It's very below deck.
Right? It is very below deck. It just really does feel like you're in the lap of luxury on a very family friendly, economical cruise line.
Sure.
Like these cruises are affordable. These are not, cruises that are out of reach for most people. These are affordable cruises, but the yacht club just gives you like this taste of luxury and service that is just above and beyond.
So we had the opportunity to view multiple staterooms, which is a great opportunity. You don't usually get that if you're on a sailing. So we had a traditional balcony stateroom. It was very comfortable. I
Hmm.
found the bed to be very comfortable. It's a bed that could be split. There's a couch, a single bathroom with unlike Disney, where it's a split bathroom, the more traditional one bathroom, desk area, TV, swivel TV, right?
Yeah, which is important for some people, but
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, Toiletries are shower gel and a shampoo. So if you are a conditioner person, you want to bring that. Didn't see body lotion, so you'd want to bring that too. There were no facial tissues, so
No.
you could bring those.
But for those of you that have sailed before, I would say it was some decent quality marine toilet paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as thin as I expected. So if you did need tissue, to do some
Yeah, yeah.
makeup wiping or something, I think it would hold up for that.
Yeah. I really liked the room. I thought there was, the closet's in a little bit different space than traditional, but that didn't bug me at all. Yeah, I
Lots of
liked the
drawers.
room. Lots of drawers. We did get to see some of the solo cabins, which is a
Hmm.
really nice thing on this ship. So if you are, we talked about solo traveling a few episodes ago. If you're going to solo travel, those rooms, they're small, but I found them to be really comfortable.
I did too. I didn't think they were as small as I thought they would be. I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
solo staterooms on other ships, and I thought these were fairly generously sized. I also was surprised because I know a lot of solo cabins on other cruise ships tend to be inside staterooms, but
yeah,
some of these have an ocean view window, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
have all that natural light, which I think helps make it feel bigger.
yeah. We saw an infinite balcony room. So
Hmm.
this is where you have a window, floor to ceiling window, but no actual balcony that you can go out of. But if you're not going to have a balcony, this is a great way to still have a nice view and get that natural light. What else did we see?
We saw the kids' clubs
I mean, the staterooms.
in the staterooms, the duplex, the yacht club duplex
Right,
suite,
right.
which was incredible. It literally was a two-story suite with a really nice dining area downstairs, a seating area downstairs. Two people could sleep downstairs, and there was
Yeah,
a bathroom. And then you went up to like a loft bedroom, which had just a beautiful bathroom upstairs with a full bathtub, not even just for little kids, like a grown-up could sit and soak in the tub for a while.
yeah. Um, and then we saw a suite. This was not in the yacht club, but that had a private
The
hot tub
jacuzzi.
outside. Yeah,
Yeah,
on
one of
the
the Oria
balcony.
suites.
Yeah, that was really nice. Now, the sailings on this are 7-day traditionally.
Hmm.
So we were on board for this special sailing for 3 nights, but they're traditionally 7-day Eastern Western Caribbean out of that new Port Miami terminal.
And with 7 days, you should be able to see way more than we did. I mean,
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
racing around trying to make
We
sure we
were,
saw
yeah.
all the lounges and all of the aspects of the ship. But if you're there for 7 nights, you'll be able to see and do
7
a
nights
lot
is
of,
a good amount of time on a ship like this, definitely.
yeah.
So we had gotten some questions before our sailing, people asking us about, just things to look out for the ship. One of the questions was, are the bathrooms in the staterooms super tiny? So what'd you think?
I didn't think so. What did you
I
think?
didn't either. I mean, of course, your stateroom bathroom is going to be smaller than like a hotel bathroom, of course. But in the scale of stateroom bathrooms, I did not find it to be super, super small.
No, I didn't either. My elbows didn't bump in the shower. And I love the fact that it's a shower door and not a shower curtain.
Yeah.
But I had no, I got changed in there every morning and every evening at bedtime. I thought there was plenty of space.
Yeah. Um, we also got a question about if the beds were comfortable. I thought they were.
I thought they were too. And I also liked that they give you a firm pillow and a softer pillow.
Yeah.
So everybody has two pillows and you can switch which one you'd rather sleep. If you are, somebody that likes a softer pillow, squishy, you have that option, or you can flip it to the other pillow and have a little firmer sleep.
Yeah. Um, and then somebody asked about, is the yacht club area, how is it compared to the seaside class? And I'm gonna throw this one to you because I don't have experience with that.
Yeah, I think the experience itself is definitely comparable. You're not going to miss anything that you love from the Seaside class. Now, admittedly, we were limited in our tour of the yacht club just to the suites themselves. So we didn't
Right.
get to tour the areas because there were guests staying there. But everything on World America replicates what you love about the Seaside Yacht Club. You're still going to have your private dining, you're still going to have your private lounge, there's still the private pool deck and the bar and everything out there. So all of the things you love about the Seaside class, you will find here.
Yeah. And then Anna's got some travel coming up that we will be covering on various cruises. But while we're talking cruises, I saw something come across the US State Department's Facebook page that we wanted to talk briefly about. They had asked for tourists or cruisers to really think about bringing their passports on a cruise. So now this is going to vary by cruise line, right? Whether they require a passport or a birth certificate, passport card, that type of thing. Even if your cruise line doesn't recommend it or doesn't require it, it's still a very good idea to have a passport.
Yeah, it really is. It's not just, I've seen people say, "Oh, well, you only need a passport if you're going to be irresponsible and you're going to miss your embarkation time and you're going to get lost in port, you're not going to get back in time." It's really not just that. You could have a medical emergency.
Right.
There could be transportation issues, even with the cruise ship. And, a cruise ship, if you're on a cruise ship excursion and you have some kind of an emergency and you don't get back in time, they're very willing. They will help you get to the next port. They will make all of those arrangements for you. It's just going to be infinitely easier if you already have a passport, because you could be going between countries, and
Right.
it's a big deal to have your passport. And even in the Bahamas, where you are not required to have your passport, you just don't know. You don't know what could happen, and it's just safer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could, slip and break a bone and have to be, brought to a hospital at port. And then, to get home, you'd have to, if you didn't have a passport, you'd have to visit an embassy or consulate to get one.
Hmm.
So, yes, highly recommended. We recommend it. And I just thought it was really timely to mention this since it was a Facebook post that we saw last week.
Yeah. I'm also just going to throw in there, because I live in New Jersey and there are still zero appointments for Real ID. And I've just had a client of mine who applied for a passport because they weren't going to have their Real ID in time for travel. As of this morning, there was one Real ID appointment available, and it's not available until mid-June, which is after the date that you need to have it. You will get your passport theoretically quicker than you will be able to get a Real ID. Once the Real ID kicks in May, you're going to need one or the other, the Real ID or the passport. So it will not hurt you to have the passport.
I mean, I just saw a compliance stat that said, the percentage is really low of people who've gotten their real ID already. It was really quite surprising given how many times they've pushed it back.
I just saw, so do you have county stores in Massachusetts? So our malls have county stores, and we were just at the Deptford Mall, which is in Gloucester County, New Jersey. And the line at the county store of people, because you can get your passport there,
Oh,
they'll do
okay.
your application and stuff there, but they don't do Real ID. I was surprised how long the line there was of people trying to get passports because we can't get Real ID
Yeah.
appointments.
Yeah. Wow.
And like you had said before, you could go to AAA in Massachusetts. We don't have that option. So people are really now, we're at
Yeah.
crunch time and they're scrambling, and you realistically may be able to get your passport faster than your Real ID.
Wow. Yeah. It's a good reminder.
All right.
All right.
Question.
Oh, no, you can't use my address because then I will get everything. I'm already
She
getting
already gets
everything.
all my cruise mail. That's crazy to me. It's crazy.
I know, especially when I got your cruise documents for your cruise, your Disney cruise. I was like, oh, come on, Disney. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Wander and Chat. Be sure to join us next week. We are going to talk all about Disney World versus Disneyland. So, are you team Disney World or are you team Disneyland? And you may actually be surprised as to what our answers are, but we will very clearly talk all about the comparisons and why we're choosing what we're choosing, and of course, all the benefits of both of them. In the meantime, please be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you are either watching it or listening to it. And if you could leave us a comment, a question, anything really helps. Reviews really help too. Just helps us get the podcast in front of more eyeballs and ears. So thank you.